This is going to be the best plot twists in all of fantasy. Obviously, I'm only including books that I've actually read. My first pick is actually going to be a pretty controversial one, and that's going to be the Lightbringer series by Brent Weeks. People really hate on these books because of the way they ended, but I think the plot twists in this series are some of the best in all of fantasy, and it also has a really, really cool magic system. Then I've got one that I think a lot of people talked about last year, and that's The Will of the Many by James Allington. This and the Lycanius trilogy both have a lot of really cool plot twists, but the ending of this one is actually what I'm talking about, specifically the epilogue. Then I've got the fifth season by N.K. Jemisin. I think a lot of people figured out the plot twists in this one when they were reading through the first book, but I personally didn't, so when I read it at the end of the first book, I was actually blown away. Highly recommended, and I actually rate the fifth season, the first book in this trilogy, a 10 out of 10, and the other two books are pretty great too, but they're not as good as the first book. Next up, I've got the Greenbone Saga by Fonda Lee, and I'm specifically talking about Jade City, the first book in this series. I don't know if this technically counts as a plot twist, but I think it does. The event happens about a third of the way through the book, and I really didn't expect it, and it completely changed the trajectory of the entire trilogy. Next up, I've got The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. Again, I'm not entirely confident if this counts as a plot twist, but there's an event that happens towards the end of this book that I really wasn't expecting, and again, completely changed the trajectory of both this book and the series continuing on. And then lastly, I'm going to mention some of the more obvious ones just because a lot of people already talk about them. I didn't really feature them in this video, but got Brandon Sanderson's book, especially the Mistborn series. And I would actually count A Song of Ice and Fire, especially because of the Red Wedding. Let me know if you think I missed anything, especially if you see them on my shelves. And as always, drop a follow and go subscribe on YouTube or else.